everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. I am Captain Logan. Joining me this evening, as always, is my chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? How's your week been treating you, sir?
It's been good. We have Sonic with us.
Oh, we got Sonic in the background. Oh, man, that's not what I meant to click on. Oops. Man, it's always something. I thought we were in really good shape, but, we always got to open with some sort of technical mistake. I'm just going to get rid of that right now. Oh, wait, no, it's back. All right, anyway. Well, how's it going, everybody? It is, once again, the Captain Logan Show. I'm going to answer your questions for a full hour, as always. Not any special topic or anything tonight, just the regular, bare-bones Captain Logan Show. It is a non-Patreon show week, so we're going to do our regular $60 goal for the first hour. If you guys want us to keep going for another hour, you can help get us to the $60 goal through Super Chats. Obviously, don't feel the need to do that. Leave regular pre-written questions in the live comments if there's something you want to chat with us about, ask us about, some kind of topic you want us to tackle, and we will get to as many of those as possible. But as always, if you want to make absolutely certain that your voice is heard, you can do that through a super chat, and $60 altogether is all we're looking for. It gets us to a second hour past 8 o'clock Central Time. No big major announcements or anything this evening. Just wanted to mention again, in case you missed the memo from last week, that I'm going to a new 3 to 4 video schedule beginning this week. It has already started. I'm going to be posting Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and often on Monday, depending on if there's a How We Felt About or another special video that I have shot. Tuesdays are going to be rewinds, either superhero rewind, science fiction rewind, or sometimes even maybe a other kind of written video. And then Thursdays is this show, and every other week also right after this show, Captain Logan After Dark on Patreon. And then on Saturdays are going to be the $15 request tier videos from Patreon. And then on Mondays, like I said, sometimes How We Felt About, sometimes a Comic Vault, sometimes a commentary. So streamline again a little bit. I did a bunch of kind of experimentation through January to see just how much I could get away with trying to bring back Crypto Freaks and stuff, and it was just a little bit too much for me and the channel. So Crypto Freaks I'm gonna bring back as written overviews, which is what people wanted more anyway. I'm really gonna miss doing the commentaries, but it just does not make sense, at least where I'm at right now. So for folks that were watching that, really appreciate your viewership, and I'm really sorry that those aren't going to continue. I tried, the interest wasn't there, and I just did not have the time to do that and keep rewinds going. So I just got the new rewind written and recorded, and it will post on Tuesday and should be out early for Patreon over the weekend. DJ, are you ready for lots of question answering and lots of rejoicing?
I am, sir. We have lots of questions.
Man, there's just too many questions.
I know. So if you really want to make sure you got something to talk about tonight, you might have to do a super chat. I've got over 10 or 11.
Oh, sweet. Wow. And again, tonight we're going to chat about just whatever you guys want to talk about. Pop culture stuff, sci-fi stuff, superhero stuff, anything and everything in between. Let's get going, DJ. I'm going to try to go a little bit rapid fire tonight, although I'm not going to make it a straight up rapid fire show. We should do another one of those soon. Those are always fun.
Yeah, we should. We'll really challenge ourselves. Or yourself. I just have to read questions fast.
No pressure, sir.
Cinematographic is always like right on the pulse. As soon as I say questions,
as Vince always used to say,
right
the pulse of the nation.
He says, "Hey Cap, just curious, how did you feel about the way CW's Crisis handled the dawn of time? Specifically, that the 6.5 Paragons were in the middle of a desert in part 4." Wow, very specific question.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since I read Crisis, and so I don't remember how accurate it was to that book. I know Eric and I reviewed that like last year, but I've reviewed a bunch of things since then, and I've slept since then. And that book is wonderful in its way. I really enjoy reading it, but it's very convoluted, and it's hard to keep track of everything. And there's so many characters. And there's so many locations, and yeah. So when you say they're in the desert, I don't know if you're asking me to respond to that because that happens in the book. I'm not and I'm not remembering it, or if you're saying because it's lame, because it's not like, I just don't remember anymore. I thought the majority of how stuff was handled in that was not great and kind of lame, and I've talked about that at length in reaction in review videos for that for Crisis. But so I don't really have anything to weigh in on as far as that whole thing goes without going back and rereading the book. I mean, I didn't like the Supergirl Lex just writing his name in the Book of Destiny and getting himself thrown in there, partly because I wasn't real impressed with his performance, and it was kind of sad that Rosenbaum refused to come in and do the show, because I wondered if maybe he would have had that spot and been in more of it had he shown up, because obviously that's the Lex everybody loves, especially the TV Lex everybody loves, and I wonder if he had agreed to come in, if he would have been less of a cameo like Tom Welling was. So I don't know, that whole thing was a little bit, it was more than a little disappointing. But then the whole, the Dawn of Time thing, I don't know if you're just referring to like the way it opens, like exactly like the book did, where first they try to get you with that, where it's like, oh, it's word for word exactly the book for the first 30 seconds, and then it's all downhill from there. Or if you're talking about just the fact that Oliver Queen is dies, becomes the Spectre, gets sent back in time, and it ends up starting not sent back in time, but I guess so, and then starts the whole universe over in his own image. That was all pretty silly. We got to watch Oliver Queen die twice before his show ends, which is hilarious. DJ, Oliver Queen basically becomes the Spectre and then God.
Wow. So it's like, ugh, that's weird. They really did the Iron Man thing with him.
And then, even worse, though, because at least Iron Man doesn't get to recreate the universe in his own image. And he's not even the one that puts on the gauntlet in order to bring back everybody from the 5 years earlier thing. Like, he just puts it on to save everything. Like, that's already happened.
Oh, somebody just reminded me of something.
Yeah.
We somehow missed a question last week.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. I was going to send you a message about that, so I'm glad somebody mentioned it.
I have it here. I have the question written down. It was from Lightning City.
Yeah.
But somehow it got checked because I go through and I check them as we read them, and I somehow checked it by accident. But we are going to read it because it's an awesome question, and I really like it.
I'm on the edge of my seat. So, I'm on the edge of my seat.
This is Lightning City. He says, what superhero movie would you like to be a musical of some sort?
What a good question. Yeah.
I know. I love musicals. He says, me personally, and probably in the minority, would like to see a coming-of-age Peter/Spider-Man high school film with musical aspects in it.
Well, I think Spider-Man is a great idea for a musical. Obviously, so did some Broadway folks that made a musical that was infamous, Turn Off the Dark, which, of course, I didn't get a chance to go see, and I've always wanted to somehow look at that, or at least get to hear the whole soundtrack. But anyway, I digress. Spider-Man's a real easy place to go. There's a lot of kind of high school musicals. So it's perfect. But when you said which superhero movie, I thought you meant like a musical adaptation of one that was made already. I thought you meant like what they're doing right now. The music. Oh my god, that would be amazing. But you just have to put the Bane rap in it, right? Like just Bane comes out on stage. I'm Bane. Yes, that's my name. If you say it too much, it becomes a name. I'm coming after you, Bruce Wayne. I'm faster, stronger, clinically insane. Can you just imagine that in a big Broadway production? And he's got like a bunch of he's got a bunch of minions like dancing behind him, and then like he just nonchalantly in the middle of a musical number like shoots the guy that makes the bomb for him, like only you, like just in the middle of it. That'd be amazing. And then you could have cheerleaders in that scene because it's at a football stadium. It would be amazing, right? Just imagine the Bane cheerleaders. Yeah. No, I mean, I was gonna try to throw some other things out, but now that you've said that, that's absolutely the best possible. I think, and I like, some people aren't gonna like me saying this because I know there's folks that still love that movie, but like, I think with a lot of like the plot holes and character motivation issues and stuff that I have with that movie, I think turning it into a Broadway musical immediately fixes a lot of that for me. I really do. Bruce Wayne and Batman are totally the same. Like, yeah. Oh man, that would be so good. I love Arl Knots. Somebody brings that up, I can't not launch into that.
But yeah, I mean, Batman and Robin could have been a musical. Like, it wouldn't have been any different.
It would have, and it would have seemed a great deal more imaginative.
Yeah.
Had it been. Well, yeah, really, you just go to any super cookie cutter, formulaic superhero movie, and it's immediately not necessarily fixed, but more entertaining if it's a musical, right? Like, do it with like Green Lantern, automatically a better movie if it's a musical. I mean, the songs have to be good. It could be actually a lot worse, but
this is actually the perfect question, because we're on like a musical kick right now in my house. We just watched Hairspray 2 days ago and Into the Woods yesterday. I would like to see what's his face? Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, but the second one.
Yes, the second one, the insane one.
Although, again, some of the stuff in that movie fits a little bit better in a musical. He's just walking around, and I don't know why, I just keep thinking stage musicals. Like, I know you're talking about, like, a screen musical, but I'm just imagining all of this on like, the Broadway stage. Like, Nick Cage is just walking around, like, eating jelly beans, lamenting about being Ghost Rider. Like, it'd be amazing. Could you, like, automatically, that horse ride in the third act, much fewer people are complaining about why in the world the mentor guy goes on the ride with him and then just leaves if there's just a big song during that whole ride, right? Like,
man, Sam Elliott just grovelly singing the whole ride there.
Yeah, and you just rewrite Ghost Riders in the Sky. Obviously, because that's what's playing during that scene. Oh man, no, we can do this all day. I think the harder question is what superhero movies would you not want to see as musicals? That's harder. Like, I think all of it. Like, you immediately start making fun of material, I think, when you do it with super serious, like kind of deeper, more introspective films. But then
I don't know if I'd want to see Batman Begins as a musical.
so yeah, I say that, and yet I think, well, nobody makes fun of like the Lion King stage musical. Like, maybe Logan could be a musical. Maybe you could do that and make it like a serious thing. Like, maybe it could work. I don't know.
I mean, he's done several musicals. I like Les Mis a lot.
And Hugh Jackman's the guy to do it, clearly. Oh no, this is great. No, that'd be great.
That's the perfect guy for it. But no, going back to what his
Waterworks is what I'm imagining.
Taking that exact same cast, the Homecoming and Far From Home cast, and doing a musical, like that, it seems perfect. Especially because he's a dancer. What's his face? I can't think of names tonight.
I'm sorry, who were we talking about?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. Yep.
Already a dancer. That'd be perfect.
Mutale says, why was Birds of Prey not a musical? Again, immediately a better movie.
Because that musical number that comes in, I was like, oh, this is awesome. But then it was just like...
The whole thing should have been like that. Yeah, immediately I like it better if it's a musical. And I'm not even a big musical fan, but it tends to make boring things less boring. And I thought that movie was a little bit boring. Birdman the musical. Boy, could you imagine that?
It's both right to me for some reason.
It's both a full wonder and a musical.
Oh, but no. So, someone said Ragnarok. That'd be perfect. That would have made me like it better because
I think so too. I don't like that movie either. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Roboto says Margot Robbie can't sing. Well, recast her then. And make it. I mean,
it's a musical, but the title character doesn't have any songs.
That would be really funny, actually.
Joker the musical. That could have worked. I haven't seen that movie. Yeah, Watchmen. Someone said, yeah, I don't want Watchmen.
I was imagining that, yeah. That's the first thing where I'm like, you know what? Let's not do that.
But hey, we love that short. We're the Watchmen. So who knows? Maybe you can win us over on it.
Adrian, the rats are polluting the lake.
All right, we should probably get to some other questions, but I love that question so much.
I love it so much. I apologize that we didn't get to it last week. I blame DJ, but I'm actually kind of glad that we didn't, because we probably spent more time on it here.
Yeah,
and that was great. Mutali Aquaman totally could have worked as a musical.
Exactly. That would be great.
And exactly that same movie.
when his dad died, it feels like a musical. Like when his dad dies, do you remember that scene? He's like, I won't say it on Geek Pollution, but he's like, darn
There's
you.
some intentionally very over the top melodramatic stuff in that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when Marvel bought, or when Disney bought Marvel, a lot of people were like, "Oh God, they're gonna Mickey Mouse up superhero movies." And now part of me kind of wants to see one, just one, done really well as like a Disney musical.
Something. Who would be their best character?
Yeah, Alex, Venom the musical, absolutely. That movie also totally could have been a musical.
Tom Hardy thought he was in a musical when he was making that movie.
He absolutely did. I want him to start singing a song when he's eating the live lobster in the tank.
Eminem just walks into the restaurant.
Oh my God, and Eminem writes the entire musical score for the movie. And so like it's a rap musical and just everybody has to rap the whole time.
Oh, Professor Zoom 21, Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously. That's pretty much...
It would have to be a jukebox musical, and it would have to be all those songs but sung by the cast. And then that gets really awkward.
They take actual music.
Yeah, but it would be weird because it would be like somebody presses play on the tape player, and then all of a sudden everybody becomes the song that's being played. That would break my brain as far as the reality of it, but yeah. Okay,
Ant-Man,
we should.
I would actually like Ant-Man better if it was a musical.
Well, you're an Ant-Man fan, and you're like a purist, and you don't like what they did to him in the movie. So
I'm not even that big of an Ant-Man fan.
You'll have to explain that to me at some point because I don't know enough about Ant-Man to know what the fan gripes are with that.
Well, it wasn't, like you said, it's not necessarily that it wasn't what I wanted. I just didn't like what they replaced it with. It was just like I don't know. Paul Rudd's never really done it for me. Except for in there was one movie he did that I really liked. Anyway, let's actually get. We have so many super chats that we're not.
Okay.
We're not
all
answering.
right. Let's do them.
All right, Azim, $10
Hi.
chat. What is your stance on the expression? Quotes: If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. While we should all strive to be kind and reject cruelty, the notion conveyed strikes me as flawed. Oh.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everybody say it with me, case by case basis, right? It depends. The way you respond to something, you always should weigh who you're talking to, what the situation is, and I think pick your battles. So there are a lot of absolute phrases like that in the common vernacular that I don't think were ever intended when they were brought up to be absolutes, right? Like it's kind of implied in figures of speech that it's that these are supposed to be things like guidelines, things that we generally follow, but that it doesn't always apply. And like this is absolutely one of those. So like if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. But I would think most people would agree it's common sense to say, except for when you absolutely have to stand up for yourself, Yeah. When not saying anything would lead is potentially dangerous, or you're allowing someone to get away with something heinous, or when you just can't abide something terrible that someone is saying to or about someone else, case by case basis. I think that is generally a good rule to follow, but I don't think any of these kinds of things are absolute. I don't even know that the golden rule is completely absolute. I can't think of any good examples, but I'm sure there are things we could come up with where it's like, do unto others as you want to be done to you. I'm sure we can come up with some kind of situations where that's also not necessarily a good idea.
Don't feed people raisins if you're allergic to raisins.
Right, yeah, that's a little bit more absurd maybe than where I might have gone with that, but yeah.
Right.
Like like you got to be considerate and remember that other people aren't like you, right? Like you might like playing really loud music, but don't play really loud music unless you know that other people like that around you. I guess that would be sort of an example. So yeah, just nothing is be all end all. Nothing is blanket statement. But like generally speaking, I think in polite company, and I think the implied thing there is in polite company, right? So like if you are trying to make a good first impression and meeting somebody for the first time, and they might say something that you don't agree with or that bothers you in some way, but you don't think it's a moral situation, a case where your ethics tell you must take a stand. Yeah, maybe pick your battles. Maybe leave it there, and don't bring it up unless it just keeps happening and you can't deal with it. But that's a great question.
That's cool. Webmaster, Super Chat. He says, did you forget about Telltale Batman?
I did not forget about Telltale Batman. I'm going to do some gameplay next weekend. I gotta look at my calendar. I think I have it set up for next weekend. I'm about to bring that back up. I wanted to do some this weekend, but we've got family coming into town, so I'm not gonna have time. Yeah. But that will be coming back very soon. And it's been a long time. I'm sorry about that, but I will finally get that finished. I'm just trying to bring back Rewind, and yeah. So anyway,
okay.
I will do that soon. Go ahead.
Real quick, Blue Dragon 5 says I missed a super chat from Ross Hitchcock, but it must have been before I joined the chat because I'm not seeing it. The first one I saw was from Azim, but he says it was about the red Batman test footage,
thoughts about the Batman test footage. I see it right here. Yeah, we talked about that last week. But my very broad general thoughts are I think it looks really cool so far, but not having the colors yet, it's hard to say a whole lot except for just the general basic look of it. Some people don't like the neck. I like the neck. One thing that I don't think we did get to talk about last week, because I think we found out about it later, or maybe we did, I can't remember. Did we talk about the notion of the gun, or of the bat symbol being not actually batarangs, but rather made from Joe Chill's gun?
We talked about that, on the After Dark, but not.
Okay, but we didn't actually talk about it. Some people are saying that's really silly. We'll have to see what they do with it. But honestly, guys, at face value, I think that's a cool idea. I actually really like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think that's in rumor territory. I know fans have come up with that idea. I don't know if it's confirmed yet.
Oh, I thought that was a confirmed thing. Okay, well then I don't want to speak to that until we know for sure that that's what they're doing. It would be. And that struck me as odd if we know a story detail like that already.
Yeah.
Just cool. With test footage that they would come out and say that. But yeah, is that too, I don't know, on the nose or cute or...
Not for Batman. Batman's
I don't think
all about
Batman's pretty darn dramatic,
man. This is what made me do this, and I'm going to remember it every single time I go out.
And that he doesn't like guns, he won't use guns, but he reforms the weapon that turned him what he is into, the symbol of himself. Call me corny. I think that's actually really good.
Yeah,
if that's what they do.
Taking the thing that changed him and making it the symbol. Yeah, that's crazy.
And there are things that we literalize that I find myself rolling my eyes at, but that I don't know. That one I kind of like. We'll see if that ends up being really the case. I guess I took it at face value that it was the way people were talking about it. But if that's just rumor territory, we'll have to see how it plays in the film. But on the surface of it, I think it's a really good idea.
Cool. Random reviewer gives us a super chat. Thanks, man. Thoughts on the DC Universe Harley Quinn series?
So this is also a thing I've talked about quite a bit already. I talked about this last month on, or was it the month before? I forget, on Batmosphere, but I like it a lot. I've been completely won around on it. I think it's a fantastic show. It is surprisingly smart. It's really funny. It's really witty. It is too raunchy for my taste, but there's plenty of of clever and actually surprisingly really good storytelling, and just great like superhero parody stuff that I haven't seen in a good long time. It's a great superhero parody thing, and that makes up for all of that for me. And then I find myself laughing at stuff in the context of that I wouldn't usually in something else. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. If you haven't looked at it yet, I absolutely recommend that. I think the last episode of the season is about to air, or it comes out tomorrow, came out today or something. And I'm a couple episodes behind on it, so I will finish that soon and probably do an overview review on it at some point. But anyway, yeah. Or I might just mention it briefly on the next Atmosphere, but I don't know when that's happening, by the way. We're supposed to do one this month at some point. I got to talk to Dan and get that scheduled, but there should be a new episode coming soon, and we're going to talk about Clayface on that episode, so look forward to that.
Ooh, Clayface. Oh, you should watch the Batman episodes.
That's actually what we're doing. That's the plan, yeah.
Okay.
Because I've never seen it.
Very different take on Clayface.
Yeah, they have a two-parter, and that's what we're going to watch.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's like a friend of Bruce's. Let me see. Why... Oh, one more up. How do fans separate the media they consume to them? How do fans separate the media they consume to themselves, so they won't feel hurt when someone doesn't like it? Okay, so I guess how do they separate the media from themselves?
Who is this?
John Ty.
Who asked? John Ty. Okay. Okay. Read it again. I'm just trying to get my head around this question.
I'm gonna read it straight. But, just how do fans separate the media they consume to themselves, so they won't feel hurt when someone doesn't like it? So like the whole idea that someone disagrees with you, it's like a personal attack against you.
Yeah, like I don't immediately know how to answer that except to just acknowledge, yes, this is a problem a lot of people seem to have. Yeah. And it's like it's a thing that I can sympathize with to some degree. Like I've trained myself, I think, really well over the years to, kind of take, like movies on their own terms, and also to kind of be okay with being an outlier when something's not exactly what I wanted. But I understand that feeling sometimes where I had this with Watchmen. I walked out of Watchmen and thought it was absolutely brilliant, and was very surprised to find that a lot of people didn't care for it, including Vince. And it was like, I respected his opinion, but it was also a little bit hard not to fight him on it. Where it was like, no, really, dude, it's great. What's right? And then I had this a little bit with Rises going the other way, where I walked out of the theater and was disappointed and not super impressed. And then some people treated it like The Second Coming, and I was like, I don't understand that. And I was respectful, but it was also frustrating because it was hard to see other perspectives. And some people can kind of live and die by that, where they really need other people to validate their opinions for them, and they need there to be some kind of a consensus. And I think it's okay to have the experience you had with a thing, and it's really frustrating when people refuse to respect your right to not agree with them. That's the hardest thing about this. I wish all things were equal and that we could expect that from people, and that's not always going to happen. And you have to kind of I think it's important to learn, and some people I don't think come by this naturally, to learn to acknowledge when a person is being unreasonable with that, and to just kind of let that wash off your back the best you can. If somebody doesn't agree with you that something is terrible or something is brilliant, or even that something is, you think a thing is just middle of the road when somebody else thinks it's either the best thing in the world or absolute garbage, you've got to get to where you can you can kind of sorry, I'm distracted. People are suddenly coming to the house. I think it's important to get to a place where you understand that it is unreasonable for people to expect you to read their mind and to already have exactly the experience that they did with a thing. It's okay to be off in left field on stuff. It really is. And there's also, as I've always said, a really big difference between something being critically really good and you're just liking a thing. And so when you're trying to back up your opinions on a thing as far as this doesn't make sense or this thing is ridiculous or whatever. You need evidence for those things when we're talking about concrete facts, when we're talking about things that are not really opinion or more of a gray area kind of thing. But just as far as I loved this, despite its flaws, you can talk about the reasons that is, but you don't need evidence for feelings. Sometimes feelings are very difficult to articulate, right? That's why when new movies come out and I haven't had time to really process them, I give you as in-depth of a discussion about it as I can, but then I flip a sign. It's red or it's green. I am feeling it or I'm not feeling it. I do my best to articulate that as well as I possibly can, but they're feelings. Feelings are amorphous. And then years later, when I have time to really sit down and break a thing down, I might do a rewind on it and give you my more fully thought out opinion about whether or not it's a good story, if it's effectively a good story. Now that's not to say that mine is obviously the only right opinion about that, and there is a lot of opinion in that. So that's not me saying that like fact versus fiction. If it's a rewind and I give it a 2.5, that's a fact. That's not what I'm saying. But anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. That's a tough question, but
yeah, I honestly, from my personal experience, think that a lot of this just comes with age. Like I got a lot more angry when I was younger, and now I'm just like, now you get more comfortable with who you are, and when you're a teenager and you're trying to find out who you are, and you're like trying to find like what you like and everything, and if someone like if you feel like you're being attacked for liking stuff when you're not even secure in who you are yet, then it can be a lot more damaging than when you're older and you're just like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care what other people say. But,
no, that's a really good point. And again, I'm not unsympathetic to that. I'm not saying that if you're young and inexperienced with life that you should have already figured out how to do this. But I think you just got to be kind of patient with other people and patient with yourself. And remember that, as I always say, I think part of the reason I'm kind of floundering on this a little bit is because I'm trying not to repeat myself and say things I've said a billion times. But this is a thing I've said a billion times, and I guess I will say it again. We all have different experiences and come from different places that define us, and we are never the same person from moment to moment. And so and I think this is where everybody needs to give everybody else a benefit of the doubt. As I always say, there are no wrong. There are no right answers, but there are wrong answers. Like if somebody loves a thing that you thought was terrible, and you think that that's a very strange perspective for them to have, the first thing you gotta do is say, well, that opinion is valid as far as their, just whether they enjoyed a thing or not. That is, like, the enjoyment of a thing is so subjective. But secondly, you've got to give them that they're not you, and that you don't know how they arrived at that. And it is probably perfectly reasonable that person, being born where they were born, being raised the way they were raised, like having the education they had, et cetera, led them, their whole life was a culmination to this moment. I thought Sonic was the best thing I ever saw. Right? And just with that particular example, this is in microcosm kind of a thing for me. I am not understanding the overwhelming love for that movie. I don't think it's terrible.
Doing so well,
but I wasn't impressed with it. I didn't care for it. It was as generic as I thought it was going to be. And I can accept that other people are loving it. I don't get that. I think that's a little bit odd. But clearly, my experiences, but also my, I don't know, expectations and what I want and stuff, it clouded my opinion just like they cloud everybody's. And that didn't do it for me, but it did it for a lot of other people.
Yeah, for example, I'm always fascinated. I would be so fascinated to talk to Eric about Into the Woods, because we are the exact same age, and that is my favorite movie of that year. And that is his least favorite movie of all time. Like, he hated that movie. He did a review of it on his channel, and he despised it.
Yeah.
And we just have completely different experiences that led us there. It's crazy.
And there are so many variables. Sorry, this was a complicated question to unpack. I said rapid fire. That has not happened tonight. I'm sorry. I've been a little bit long-winded. Somebody, I think it was Blue Dragon 5, somebody in the comments said if I was wearing a sweater right now, we could show this to kids.
That came out this week.
Oh, has it? I've not bought a copy yet. Cool.
I still haven't seen it. John Todd.
That's just wonderful.
How do fans sip? We already did that one, and we did it for a long time, so let's not do it again. Pandora. Why didn't we get a Mandalorian spoiler cast?
Because I just didn't get around to it. I had planned on doing one. I didn't really want to do one on my own because it's Star Wars, and I've done some solo Star Wars videos before. I don't remember if the solo video was by myself or with somebody else, but I have done Star Wars videos by myself. But I kind of wanted to have Dan Torrey or somebody with me on that, and Dan's just been really busy with law school and stuff, and I wanted to go back and rewatch the whole thing before I did it. So I may still do that, but I just wasn't gonna rush and get that out right away. And honestly, I like that show. I don't have just a giant ton of stuff to say about that. It is such a straightforward show, which is refreshing, certainly, but Eric and I talked about the pilot a lot, and my opinion didn't change a whole lot after that, just as far as the quality of it. I think it's really good, but so I may do something on that still. Nice. Oh, Dan was in the solo review, yeah. And also, I don't think you're going to hear a lot new from me than what you've probably heard from a lot of other reviewers. I am pretty well in line with the consensus on that show, but yeah.
Sorry, Anime 2020 just left a comment, said Star Wars is bad. That was really funny.
Just as a thing, Star Wars is bad.
Star Wars. All right. Tyler Thompson.
Yeah.
$2 super chat. Talk about, this isn't even a question, he's just telling us, talk about Lord of the Rings, books/films, whatever. Just talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Kat, what do you, just talk about it.
Well, this will be disappointing. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I get the appeal of that series to some degree, but as I've talked about a whole bunch, I'm not a big sword and sorcery fantasy guy. Some people like to say that that's not sword and sorcery fantasy, but you know what I mean. It's got dragons in it. It's a magical quest thing.
Well, Lord of the Rings dragons in it, but Hobbit has one dragon in it.
I think the last Lord of the Rings movie had a dragon in it, if memory serves. I think there was somebody riding around on a dragon in that movie.
You're thinking of the leather something, whatever the Nazgul ride, but they're not dragons. But yeah,
okay, I don't care. It's a dragon-looking creature, and my point still stands. It's that sort of a thing, and dragons exist in that universe. So there. Yeah. See. It was difficult for me to immediately launch into talking about this because I'm like putting up a wall where like immediately I'm going, okay, whatever I say people are going to try to correct me on, like it doesn't matter because Lord of the Rings is not my bag, it's not my thing, and I know there's like giant ravenous fans for that. I enjoyed those movies when they came out. I've never read the books except for The Hobbit. I read The Hobbit in high school. And I had to write a comparison contrast paper in high school on in a class called Epic Tradition, one of the best classes I had in junior or senior year in high school, and I had to do a comparison contrast thing on that versus Beowulf. So I had to read Beowulf and I had to read The Hobbit. But anyway,
interesting.
Yeah, but and those are like clearly obviously comparable things, but. Yeah.
Interesting that they did that in high school though, because usually read The Hobbit in like elementary school.
Well,
I guess it's kind of universal.
You got to pick stuff from a list, so like there were like a number of different like fantasy things and like major epics that you could choose from, and there were like different exercises, and that one of the exercises was compare those two things, so that's what I ended up picking. But anyway, cool.
I'll speak to it real quick. I really like Lord of the Rings. One of the craziest things me and my brother ever did, where we did a marathon of the extended editions in one day. It's like 11 hours or something. We did it on a Saturday one time back when I was in college and had time to do stupid stuff like that. But yeah, I really like Lord of the Rings movies. I read the books. I think Peter Jackson is great, and obviously put a lot of love and care into him, but I think he had some goofy things, especially to the second and third movie, that kind of hurt him for me a little bit. So the first one is still my favorite. And he has like this weird like telepathic connection thing, and then he has like this goofy like ticking time bomb where Aragorn's woman is dying. What's her name? Liv Tyler's like dying for no reason, and then it's
boy, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it.
Arwen is her name.
Yeah, there you go.
Liv Tyler. But yeah, she's I don't know. He had some goofy stuff, but he does a really good job. Obviously, they're epic movies, and they deserve all the praise they've got. And I don't know. I would talk about them on here, but I don't think Cap really cares to. But I am a big sword and sorcery guy. I've read a lot of I used to be. I say that I don't know anything that's going currently. Like I haven't read Game of Thrones or anything. But when I was a kid, I used to read sword and sorcery stuff. So
yeah, I just tend to care for character pieces more and stuff that's more character driven than action and like artifact finding driven. So like big fantasy epics are about the larger good versus evil equation, and I'm drawn more to science fiction because it's more about human condition. And so the fantasy things that I've really liked tend to be drawn into them more for atmosphere than anything, and those movies are absolutely dripping with atmosphere. So like that's what I most enjoyed about them, was just the way they make you feel. And I think the third one is my favorite, except for the 45-minute epilogue. Like if only we didn't have to sit around and wait for that movie to end, it probably would be my favorite. I think as a movie, that first movie is probably the one that holds together best, just as a movie. But as like a giant, 12-hour, miniseries epic, like the whole thing back and front is a really great solid piece. But looking at any of them individually, I guess that first movie is probably the best one. And those films are just really important for filmmaking and for special effects and how we do action stuff and how we integrate CG, and for the time, obviously it was super state of the art. Some of that holds up pretty well and some of it doesn't, but I think it was really influential for better and for worse. I think Lord of the Rings is one of the things that leads to our really overdoing visual effects and not using as much practical when we ought to, because it would look more like it's actually there. But I don't think those movies have that problem. I think anytime they could put something on screen physically, they did. But I think because of the massive special effects that were required to do that, I mean, you could make the argument that the orcs didn't need to be as CG enhanced as they were, because I think the orcs were pretty much entirely CG. Or am I wrong about that?
The orcs are all live action. There's a CG orc in The Hobbit.
Okay,
that's like fully CG.
And so, like, I hesitate speaking to this because it's been probably 15 years since I watched any of them.
Yeah, I would say the one big thing that Lord of the Rings brought special effects wise was just armies. Like so many movies now just like open with like backstory, and there's like an army. Like it was epic when Lord of the Rings did it, but now there's just like, now that you can do armies like that with just like you can just drop like thousands of digital.
Oh, Mutali says they were all CG in The Hobbit. Okay. I might just be thinking of some back-off shots where they'd have like a whole army of them, and that was probably CG, but then like when you get up in the faces, they're not. That's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that the epilogue because they actually cut out the epilogue. The epilogue in the book is where they go back to the Shire, and the hobbits actually have to take care of themselves because of what they've learned, and Saruman has actually taken over the Shire, and when they get back, they have to spoiler alert, it's Saruman, he's going by Sharky at that point, but they have to like win the Shire back from him, but they cut that whole thing out, which would have made the that movie like 45 minutes longer.
Wow. But what you get is still an epilogue. It may not be the book epilogue, but like there's a climax, and then they go back to the Shire, and then they go see Bilbo again, and there's a lot of just kind of I don't know, just wrapping up stuff. I appreciate like getting back to seeing what the status quo was like before they went off to get the ring. I like that it doesn't just end. There's a nice contrast there of like this is like the normal, kind of boring Hobbit hole life versus the big epic adventure they just went on, but it just goes on forever.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So we did Tyler Thompson's question.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the spinning beach ball. My computer's freezing. All right. What is...
That's good. That's what you want.
Oh, Mr. Roboto, in reference to what we were talking about earlier, Spawn the Musical, written by Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. It'd be better. It would. Have McFarlane write the script and have Joss Whedon write the songs.
David Dilks, what is a film franchise of at least 4 films where you enjoy every episode? You can exclude or include remakes and reboots. Wow.
4?
Great question.
Why? Is it? Okay, sure, but why 4?
Because it makes it difficult. It's got to be a quadrilogy. It has
to be at least... Okay, can you read that? Just read the whole thing again, because I'm not quite getting the end of that. We're including parts of reboots? What are we doing?
Well, he said you can either include or exclude remakes and reboots. It's up to us if we want to include
as
those.
Part of the 4?
Yeah.
But every movie must be good.
Or we have to like every movie. What is a film franchise of at least 4 films where you enjoy every episode? You can say that about The Matrix pretty soon here.
No, I can't. No, I can't. Because as much as I enjoy watching Reloaded, I recognize that it's pretty bad, but it's fun to watch for me. Revolutions is terrible, so no. and even 2, I wouldn't call a good movie. Nothing is springing to mind as far as just everything is good. Like, I can name... Because the thing is, even most trilogies fall apart somewhere. Where either the first movie is great and, like The Matrix, it was ill-advised to make more, and so the next 2 just aren't even the same thing and it's not good. Or there's a great first 2 movies, but the third film kind of falls apart. So the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies have that problem.
Toy Story.
Yeah, okay.
Alex Barron's Toy Story. Toy Story.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But I can't think of anything else immediately. Lethal Weapon? People don't like 3, and I've never seen 3, so I can't, or 4, so I can't speak to that one.
Yeah, everybody's saying Toy Story. Do you not like? Are there not 4 X-Men movies that you like? First Class, Days of Future Past.
I thought he said at least 4, and every single one of them in the franchise had to be good.
No, just what is a film franchise of at least... Oh, yeah, every one.
Yeah, every movie has to be good, not just name a franchise where 4 movies are good. I can't think of anything outside of Toy Story, yeah. No, that's really hard.
Everyone.
So, yeah, no. Of 4? Like, most franchises don't even go that long.
I mean, MCU
before they get rebooted, and so then include, like, I don't mean to overthink the question, but I'm just, but I'm trying to be also accurate with what you asked. Like, yeah, that's tough. Like, X-Men would certainly be a franchise where, yes, there are 4 movies, maybe exactly 4, that I think are great. Like, the Wolverine's okay. I don't hate that movie, but like, if we're counting everything connected to X-Men. And excluding Deadpool because it's set in almost like a counter universe, So, yeah, I guess that is one with 4.
Like, I love Planet of the Apes, and I love the 3 new ones, but there's a lot in the middle there that I haven't seen, so I can't say if I don't think I would love them.
And yeah, I guess Avengers counts. Like, I like Age of Ultron. I think it's flawed in the way it was presented. But as I've always said, that's a great season of television that we watch truncated into 2 hours and 50 minutes. But yeah, so I guess that counts. But I know a lot of people that wouldn't agree with that because a lot of people were really disappointed with Endgame. At least a lot of fans. A lot of comic fans, I should say. A lot of comic fans were disappointed with Endgame.
Yeah, that's a great question, but that might be the most difficult question we've ever had. Toy Story wins.
Robert Wilde, okay. I did rave about the Wolverine in the Rewind on a literary level. That's not a movie that I love going back and watching. Like, I don't know. Like once I started thinking about it and writing about it, I found all kinds of really interesting stuff in that movie. Like, it's as a scholarly exercise, yeah, it's really good. But as an entertainment, I don't like it nearly as well as a lot of other X-Men movies that aren't even as thoughtful as it. Like.
David comments said, "I guess it's too tough for you. I guess what? What are the answers? What do you think of it?"
well, tell us which ones you think are that have at least 4 where every single one of them is good.
Someone said Back to the Future. That doesn't have 4, does it?
It doesn't have 4. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I would count. I don't know. I think Harry Potter's got missteps, of course.
That's true.
And overall, as a complete franchise, it feels incomplete because it's missing certain stuff from the books that it then kind of pays off or deals with later as if they were there, and that makes it kind of problematic. But I think the first part of the last two-parter is kind of boring and drawn out, and I've got issues with the second part. But there are at least 4 that I would say are good movies. I've always been totally off in left field from people on Harry Potter. I love 5. I think 5's really good. I think 6.
With the annoying teacher lady?
Yeah, I really like it. And that director is the guy who goes off and does all the rest of them. And a part of me wished that he had been there from the beginning. But I think that's a really well directed movie. And yeah, she's annoying. But I think that was the last book I read, and she was like that in the book too. Like, that's just who that character is. I don't know, but it's and then 6 has one of the best scores.
No, I'm even weirder than you. My wife loves that one. She's a huge Harry Potter fan. I'm even weirder than you. My 2 favorite are the first 2. And no one likes 2 is like the bottom of the barrel for everybody. So
see, I don't agree with that. I don't mind 1 and 2. I think that franchise is more interesting when it starts allowing itself to grow up a little bit. And I like the idea of that series as being a thing that you're supposed to grow up with. So you start as a kid when Harry Potter is a kid, and then it gets darker and more serious and more involved as it goes along. And I think it's more interesting when it. So I guess like looking at it as a person growing up, its adolescence is the most interesting, and then once it's an adult, it kind of falls off again for me. So when it's a child, it's fine, and then once it's an adolescent, when you get to book 4, I think that's the best book, at least of the ones I actually read. It's great, but no, I'm not. I'm more with you. I think those first 2 movies are fine. I just think that they're not as grown up and involved because they're not supposed to be yet. It's getting a move on. But a lot of people love 3, and I think 3 is abysmal.
Yeah, I don't get
I think
that.
3 is terrible.
The best one. It's goofy. It's weird.
All right, what else do you have, sir?
I have the top 3. This is from Christian Ogden. The top 3 rated DC films on Rotten Tomatoes belong to DC's Holy Trinity, Dark Knight, The First Superman, and Wonder Woman. Sometimes fate is kind.
Yeah, interesting. I like calling that the Holy Trinity. That's fun. Because it's the DC Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and those are all 3. I can't dispute those are great films, and I still like Begins as much or more than Dark Knight. I still put them. I mean, I still say Begins is my favorite superhero movie ever made, just favorite. But as far as the quality of storytelling and the quality of filmmaking, they're both on par. I think, and I think Dark Knight might have been even more. Might have gone over the top for me, DJ, above Begins, if only it was as stylistic as that movie. If they had stayed with the built Gotham, or they built Gotham again, some of it is the aesthetic. Not all of it. Some of it's the aesthetic. But yeah, was there a question there?
Nope, he just wanted to bring that up.
Cool. Well, I agree with that. That's fun. No, I like that. That's really cool. I'd have to see I'm curious to know now what 4 is.
Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
It's up there. It really is. TH1. Since the mid-'80s, we've made kids' toys and shows for rated R movies such as Aliens, T2, and Deadpool. Where should the line be drawn at marketing to kids?
The line should be drawn at Deadpool. It's so tough. I could see, again, this is maybe a really blanket statement thing to say, but just as a general rule, tell me if you agree with this, DJ. I could see saying, let's not market anything to children, and children meaning, kids under high school age, or maybe junior high age, maybe 13, 14. Let's not market things to little children if the movie is rated R. Just general rule.
Yeah.
And then kind of go from there. It was weird when I was a kid that we would market stuff for movies that clearly were not intended to be seen by kids, that were too violent for kids, that had subject matters that were just too mature and kids weren't ready for. But it was an action movie. It had kind of comic book sensibilities. So you'd have things like RoboCop, you'd have things like Alien, to a lesser extent. But RoboCop most absolutely was aimed at kids, and then you had weird gray areas, and this is why. And I say that more this day and age because it gets real dicey with PG-13. Again, I think that's got to be case by case, and I wish that studios and just companies that make this merchandise were a little bit more sensitive to parents and to the stuff that they're making for kids, because these days everything that is intended for families is PG-13, almost everything except for some animated stuff. And so it's just this big giant swath, like there's this huge there's this huge gap now where everything kind of falls under PG-13, and then you have stuff that's rated R that absolutely is not for kids, but there's just a big giant gray area in PG-13. So when I was a kid, you'd have stuff like Gremlins that, not really a kids movie, kind of weird that we were marketing, stuff for kids, but it was easier to argue back then, because if it fell under PG-13, and I don't remember if that movie was rated that, I know it wasn't R, it was a lot easier to immediately go, well, it's PG-13, it's not for children. And now we make all kinds of stuff that's PG-13 that is. So, let's go back to the Batman example, because that's the only example that I'm able to bring up for things like this. Batman Begins. Kind of a gray area. Clearly not a kid's movie, but then neither was 89, and and I'm not really going to begrudge, who was it? It wasn't Playmates, it wasn't Mattel, who made those figures? I'm not going to begrudge the merchandising for 89, but I understood parents that weren't totally sure about it. And of course, the standards in different eras are different too. So in 1989, that is a rougher and more violent movie for kids than if that exact same movie came out now. Our sensibilities have changed. You may agree that we've gotten more desensitized. You may not, but the standards have certainly changed. So Begins, I think, ends up being even a little bit more of a gray area than that movie. But then after that, Dark Knight, that's a pretty sadistic Joker to be making stuff for kids. That gets rougher. Dark Knight Rises, no excuse. None whatsoever. And I'm not saying that because I don't love that movie. I'm saying that because of the subject matter and what it's about. And you don't see some of the stuff that Bane does, but it's all implied, and we know what he's doing, and it's violent, it's horrifying, and it's. I've used this example before, but you can't make a children's book for that movie and actually put the plot of that movie in it, because your main character's back gets broken, and so that the kids' books just glossed over the entire plot, but still sold these things to children. And you might say, well, Cap, they're leaving out all the adult stuff in the actual merchandise, so what's the problem? Well, obviously, kids are going to want to see the actual movie if they get the merchandise. And you're saying that it's okay, do you agree with this, DJ? You're explicitly saying it is okay for kids, and I think even justifying this is a kids' movie if you make things for little kids to consume.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the assumption.
That is the message you're sending to parents.
Yeah, but I mean, they're selling. They want to sell toys, so I don't think we can expect them to have integrity at all. They're just. I mean, I would love it to be that way, but.
But then by that logic, you'd think that we would be trying to sell toys to kids for everything that is toyetic that comes out, and that's not true. We didn't do it with Deadpool. We didn't do that. And thank God we didn't do that. But,
I mean, there's a lot of Deadpool toys.
Yes, but they're not marketed to kids. Generally speaking, there are some things that are, and it drives me crazy, but that movie was not merchandised to children. You didn't see kids' books about Deadpool. We didn't do that. And I think...
That's true.
And I think that really is just because it was rated R, and, you know, these companies know there'll be an insane amount of backlash if we do that. So, I don't know what exactly the answer is, because... I don't think you should necessarily make a movie rated R just to make sure that merchandising doesn't happen for children over it. And I get that these people are in the business of making money, but I also think it's irresponsible to, not make it clear to parents what the intended audience is. And by making toys intentionally for little kids, and especially by making coloring books and putting it on and putting on t-shirts, like if you put Deadpool on a t-shirt meant for an 8-year-old, you're inviting that 8-year-old to go to his parents and say, I want to go see this movie. Yeah. And I think that's irresponsible.
Yeah, I agree. But I always expect like the worst from them, so I just want the parents to be more involved and know what they're showing their kids.
Yeah, and I don't mean to try to take the responsibility off the parents either. I'm not saying that. However, it is difficult for especially in a more, I don't know, loose, less formal day and age than the one I grew up in when I was a kid, where parents seem to be a lot more okay with their kids consuming rougher stuff than when I was a kid, or they're not paying attention.
Yeah, I don't know which it is. I mean, I saw the whole family of little girls at Harley Quinn.
I had the same thing, and
I was like, "What?"
I saw toddlers in there. There was a kid that kept crying, and people were kind of annoyed that somebody brought their kid. And I'm like, I'm not annoyed because he's crying. I'm annoyed because they brought him, for his sake. That's crazy. Don't do that. And that's the parents being irresponsible, certainly. And if they didn't know what they were getting themselves into, and they don't leave in 5 minutes, me personally, I mean, I don't want to tell them how to be parents.
Yeah. But
that does seem a little bit irresponsible to me.
But how do you sit through that?
I don't agree with that. I don't understand
makes that. The girl stand up in the bar. That uncomfortable scene. Ugh.
I don't think you should bring your kids to that. That's just me. But I'm not going to tell people how not to parent. If they knew what they were getting themselves into and they decided to anyway, and that's how they're going to raise their kid, I don't like that. But that's how they're parenting. Who am I to say? But if that movie had been marketed, if it had been like a Pixel situation where there's no way to know because they're trying to get families to go to that, and then it turns out to be completely inappropriate for kids, I think that's kind of reprehensible. I don't like it.
Yeah, we're in the minority on that one, though.
Anyway.
In the comments are like, I watched this when I was a kid. I watched rated R movies. That's right. All they're saying.
Yeah.
All right. John Ty. Did you know there's a sequel to DC's Dark Knight's Metal called Death Metal?
No, I didn't. I've not been keeping up real well, but I will look into it because I like Metal a lot. I will finish reading Metal finally, and then I'll read that. DJ, how many more super chats do we have, and then how close are we to the goal?
We are at an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 super chats left, and we have passed the goal.
Okay, great.
We're at 63, I think.
Well, it might take a whole other hour just to answer the ones we have, but I will try really hard not to do that. Guys, I gotta apologize. It's just people have asked some heavier questions tonight, and I'm trying to give them their due, and a little scatterbrained on some of the harder ones because I'm trying to just make sure that I give a good answer. I give these things a fair shake. But anyway, you guys are asking questions that should be whole videos.
Oh, somebody says Avengers was one edit away from R. What? Bag Studio said that.
Interesting. I wonder what would have...
Joking, or...
The first Avengers? What would have made it that?
Yeah, that's... Maybe it was the Stan Lee cameo that they cut out.
What was he doing?
Doesn't he flirt with or he tells Cap to go get with the waitress or something? I don't know what he does.
I was just imagining him with a submachine gun, just mowing people down. I could have seen a cut of Age of Ultron that was rated R. I even could have seen
Endgame,
a cut of Infinity War or Endgame that was rated R.
Oh, maybe that's what he's talking about. The beheading scene. It looks like they're talking about Endgame.
Oh, Endgame. Okay.
Where they cut Thanos's Did they cut Thanos' head off, or whose
Yeah.
head gets cut off?
Thanos' head gets cut off,
Okay.
which is...
I've only seen the movie once.
Yeah. Thor comes in and cuts it off because he's mad at himself for not doing that in the previous movie. Yeah, he's mad at himself for not doing the thing that everybody complained didn't happen. I mean, I guess what we were all complaining about was cutting off the arm, but it's like, yeah, I'm gonna finally dismember Thanos, like I should have done last week. You know, Thor, if you just invited some of the fans with you when you went to get Thanos, when everybody was holding him down and nobody was cutting his arm off, we would have all just screamed at you, just cut his arm off. You got Mantis. She's incapacitated him. Just cut the arm off. We don't even need Endgame. But you didn't invite any of us, so you had to make another movie. Oh, I've lost you, DJ. I can't hear you.
Everybody's saying Coulson's death was too graphic.
Wow.
It earned an R, and they had to edit it. They cut it back.
I would love to see what that looked like. Wow. Okay.
That's crazy.
That shows you how much of an impact that scene did not have on me as far as like a real rough and violent thing. So I guess they must have really...
stabs him once, doesn't he? Like Loki just stabs him.
And again, I guess we're just a little bit more desensitized these days. We see that all the time. We see people getting stabbed in the gut, like constantly.
What happened? Did they have like blood flying everywhere, like Tarantino movie or something?
So this is a bad movie. Nobody saw it anyway. So like, who cares? But I would love to see what the original edit was of that and put it up against the end of Star Trek Nemesis, where Shinzon has his this was Tom Hardy in the role DJ that he thought would give him his first big break. He's in his death scene. He's impaled on a spike, and he's running it through himself to get up closer to Picard, like this. And that movie didn't get an R. Like, I'd love to see those two scenes up against each other.
Oh man, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
That was pretty rough for a Star Trek movie, man. And it didn't help that it was a terrible movie. So then it just felt really gratuitous, where it was like, oh, they're trying to dupe us into thinking this is really smart because it's willing to go this far. I don't know how that didn't get an R.
The guys, I love this comment. Anime 2020. The guy who played Coulson was the bad guy in Jim Carrey's Mr. Popper's Penguins. It's a little fun.
Well, that's not enough to make me watch that because I've heard that's horrible, but I don't know if it is. But
well, it's Jim Carrey, so we can assume. All right, Mr. Avato.
No, we can't.
Mr. Avato, I'm just messing with Cap, guys. How about the girl with 7 first names short stories?
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that. So he's referring to my first novel, which came out like almost a decade ago now, and which I was putting out an audiobook for a while and didn't finish. And at some point, I'll try to finish that and put that all together so you guys can listen to it if you want to. But anyway, it's a multiversal thing. It's about dimension hopping, and I build this whole fun multiverse with a bunch of different dimensions, and it's about a therapist that helps out people from other dimensions to acclimate on Earth, and a lot of really fun world building and different races and things that I came up with that I had a lot of fun with. And it's funny you mention that because I actually have written a couple of short stories for that universe, and I wrote a comic script years ago about Rajal Sharak, who's, of the people that have read it, that's most people's favorite character. Rajal Sharak is a interdimensional con man who steals people's superpowers and then sells them on interdimensional eBay. And I wrote kind of a origin story for Rajal Sharak and how he got into that business. And had an artist at one time that fell through, but yeah, it's just funny you mentioned that because I haven't thought about that in a long time. What we were gonna do with that series is we were gonna do like one shots where each comic was a standalone story, because I love short stories in the comic medium. I love 22-page comic stories, and we just don't do enough of them anymore. And so I thought it would be really fun if I took my multiverse and I made up some new characters and I used some characters that were in the book, and at the end of each issue, or so just somewhere in the middle, like I would introduce some like minor kind of cameo character, or they would go to like a cameo location or something, and then that would set up the next book, and you'd get the next issue, and you'd have to kind of guess like what element of the issue would be the main focal point for the next one. So it would be anthology, but they would all be intrinsically linked in some minor way. And I just never got around to finding another artist and trying to get rolling on that. It was going to be called Tales of the Multiverse, or Tales from the Multiverse, kind of a pulp anthology sort of thing. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll get back to that. But I would love to write more stuff in that world.
Cool. John Ty. Another
John Ty.
Which sides should the creator of fictional media listen to? The people that hate it or the people that love it?
Well, both or neither. Right?
It depends,
Yeah, it depends. But certainly not one or the other. I'm just trying to think about how exactly I want to answer this. It's too simplistic, I think, to say only take positive feedback and never listen to the negative, of course. And you also don't want to go the other way either, because if you only listen to negative feedback, you might not reinforce the things that really worked for a thing. I think it's a good idea when you're when you're putting out creative stuff, especially if you're high profile, to not look at anything and just keep doing the best you can with what you're making. And the criticism you're listening to is professionals and people that are working with you, as opposed to the fan base. But I don't go as far as a lot of people do, where they say like never look at any feedback at all. Just because, I don't know, like from my own experience, I've gotten so many good ideas for things from my own viewers when I've been working on creative stuff, particularly Spawn Year, that like if I never read any comments, people say like don't look at criticism, it'll drive you crazy, you'll go insane. I get the logic of that, and I think in some, depending on what you're working on, for some things that makes a lot of sense. I think if I was a politician, I would never read anything on Twitter. Like it depends on what exactly it is you're doing. But like if I'd never listened to any feedback on Spawn Year, I wouldn't have gotten some of the best ideas I got for that. The notion of a second sugar coma came from one of the viewers. If I hadn't been reading comments, I wouldn't have had that. And originally I was going to do that entire show before I posted one episode, and I'm so glad I didn't do that. It wouldn't have been nearly as good. So it's tough. I mean, I think I think, and I also should mention that I'm a big advocate for workshopping, particularly fiction. And when I'm leading my workshop class, what I'm always telling my writers is you listen to the good and the bad feedback, and you see what the consensus is, and you don't just go with the consensus. But what I mean by that is, if you've got 10 guys in a room and 9 out of 10 of them say, I didn't understand this, or this was a problem for me, there might be something to it. You might want to go back and look at it. If one guy out of 10 said something was an issue, and the other 9 vehemently disagree and think that it's fine, or even that it's an accolade, one of the better things in the piece, then it might be a good idea to ignore that. So you got to take every piece of criticism on a case-by-case basis, and just be logically minded about it. And but if you are in a place in your life right now where you cannot take criticism, don't read it.
Sorry, that was my headphone cord.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cap's Kool-Aid. I don't know what to do with it.
What are you talking about?
What?
You're drinking my Kool-Aid?
Somebody asked me what I was drinking. I didn't know what to say.
He's drinking my Kool-Aid. He's drinking water. That's all he drinks.
Yep. Out of my water bottle that I ran over with my car the other day.
That's hilarious.
It's a little smash, but it's holding up. It keeps the water in.
You know what my favorite thing about that bottle is?
No, I don't.
It doesn't have a picture of Harley Quinn on it.
Oh, yeah, let me go get my cup for the second hour.
This is now the second time I've considered ejecting you from the call.
All right, where you ready for the next one?
I'm just kidding. I would never do that to you.
All right. I mean, I can leave if you want.
No. I wouldn't know what to do without you. Why would I want to kill you? I wouldn't know what to do without you. What would I do without you?
I actually remember that, even though I haven't seen that movie in like a decade.
It's very memorable, that movie.
Christian Ogden again. The number 4 DC film on Rotten Tomatoes is Shazam.
Oh, weird. Okay, yes, not
Shazam.
One of the Trinity, but surprisingly not one of those same characters. I would have thought the 4th movie would be another Batman or Superman movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Batman Begins was pretty under the radar, and Dark Knight Rises was divisive, I guess.
Yes, but under the radar doesn't necessarily tell you anything about how it would score. And Superman 2 was beloved as much as the first one when it first came out.
People like Shazam.
I might have
crowd
thought.
pleaser.
Yeah, it is a crowd pleaser. It's nice to know that did the numbers it did. I didn't realize as far as the critics are concerned. I knew it was liked. I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize it was that liked.
Sorry, dust particles flying in my face. Oh man. We should. Oh, I guess I should rank my DC movies at some point. I haven't done that yet.
Rank them.
We'll put that in the society.
Rank them. Do it right now.
Society. Oh, someone made a post recently in Society. What were they talking about? Wow, that would have been a good plug if I remembered what I was thinking of.
You guys really should go look at the Secret Society on Facebook. Somebody made a post. It's news. It's a big deal. Someone made a post today.
Somebody made a post. Yeah, it's been like a slow news week, so we've just been kind of like doing discussions in there.
For the record, though, we've had that group for 10 months, and those guys have really kept it alive.
Yeah. So what I was thinking of was something.
I do post in there and I respond to stuff, but I don't put up original posts nearly as much as I did at the beginning, just because there's already so much stuff. A lot of the time I'll go in there and I want to post something, somebody's already done it, especially if it's about anything current. And it's not just a news thing or Patreon Facebook group, but it's a lot of topical stuff. And even sometimes, I don't know, sometimes there'll just be something in the air, DJ, where like something's not even about news or whatever. I'll just be like, oh, this would be a good topic. I'll go in and it's already been posted, like recently.
Yeah, somebody, the one I was thinking of was someone did this thing called hashtag 10 movies to know me. And I don't know if this is going around or not, but that was a really, really cool one. There's like 47 comments in there.
I didn't comment on that one because I did my top 20 movies of all time last year. And if anybody watched that video, they already know what I'll say.
Yeah, well, mine was actually very different because it wasn't, my favorite movies didn't end up on there, but I was trying to like pick movies that like explained or got an idea
maybe that list would be different if I was considering it from that angle. Because Hitchhiker might be on that list, and that's not anywhere near my top 20.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. There's some stuff, I think the only superhero movie I put on there was Into the Spider-Verse, and that's not my favorite superhero movie, but it definitely is a lot about me and explains who I am a little bit. Because you only have 10, so I was like doubling up character traits with movies because I only had 10 to choose from. So.
And I would, it's funny you say that because you only pick one superhero movie because one thing I would be preoccupied by if I was doing that would be not putting too much of the same genre there.
Yeah, I had to like double up. Like I put Wizard of Oz on there as like my musical because I had to get a musical on there, and also like my fairy tale because I had to get some fairy tale genre stuff on there. So I kept doubling up with the movies that I picked. It was pretty fun. It was really cool.
Interesting.
Really cool post. And then someone did got a lot of movement on the post about I thought someone might ask us this evening actually, like what our most anticipated movie is of this year, because there's some good ones coming out. But we're
not going to talk about that unless you actually ask it because we have so many other things to do.
Yes,
so we'll just occasionally throw out questions you could ask us if you wanted to, but then not actually address them. I want to we could do that in a second if you want, but I want to talk about something Psycho Reviewer just asked because this has been kind of a popular thing to talk about lately, and I think we should tackle it. Do you think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker could ever turn into the actual criminal mastermind who can outsmart Batman? The Batman we all love. By the way, I love Joker 2019. I like that movie fine myself. But yeah, that's the big question. I don't see it. He doesn't have the education. He doesn't have the background. He's a really interesting character study. And he's good at stuff, but he's not brilliant at anything. He doesn't have the science. He doesn't have. He doesn't think, several steps ahead. I mean, he really is kind of more of the dog chasing cars thing the Joker in Dark Knight is pretending to be. He's like actually that guy. And yeah, I don't see him going up against Batman. And so the question, so this question is, but could he get there? I don't know. It would take a lot of convincing. You can make anything work. You just got to make it work. But I don't know with that. I think it should be like 10 years later when we finally get him going up against Batman. And that movie did so well and won Oscars. And that makes me think that that Warner's is likely to push real hard for a sequel now. But that sequel needs to have Batman in it. And and then the question is, well, could you somehow make it interesting even without that? Like, could he be a different sort of foil for Batman where he doesn't have he can't beat him on that intelligence level, but he's so unpredictable that he can go up against Batman anyway, and maybe you can explore some other sort of facet of Batman's personality with him. I don't know. I think that would be a massive challenge, and clearly they weren't thinking about that at all when they made that movie, because when you listen to interviews from Joaquin Phoenix and even the director, somebody always inevitably asks them that question: what do you think it would be like when Batman goes up against Joker? And both of them are like, yeah, I never thought about that, I don't know. And so they're not doing that character. It's a different character. I almost think that movie should have been set in Gotham. It shouldn't have had anything to do with the comics at all. It is kind of my instinct, just because they're not looking at source material at all, except for the very basic, well, there's a guy named Thomas Wayne and he's involved in the plot. It's set in a place called Gotham. And there's a little kid Bruce Wayne there, but that's it. And it's still a pretty solid movie despite that, but they weren't interested in making that character, so I can't get excited about seeing him go up against Batman. But then I also kind of wanted to, because when I got to the end of that movie and it felt like he was getting kind of closer to a fully realized Joker, even if he's not that Joker, I was like, well, I wonder what that would be like. But then you're writing yourself into a hole. You're writing yourself into a best of both worlds kind of hole, where it's like, I don't know what we're gonna do after this. Riker says fire. Now what? I don't know. And so it's kind of where we're at, I think, with that Joker. But yeah, so I don't know. That's tough.
Oh man! But how do you make a villain movie where the villain is fully realized as a villain? Like, don't villain movies are usually like the transformation into villain, like. Yeah, like Joker, Chronicle, we do that. I mean, classic H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, where the protagonist becomes the antagonist. But
Jekyll and Hyde is this way.
What would you do if it was just
the
villain the whole time and there was no hero in the movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a good example except for revenge thrillers, where arguably the character is not a straight-up villain. Like, the Punisher could have been someone's villain. He started as a Spider-Man villain, but he's not thought of as a villain. He's thought of as an anti-hero. So, if they make another Joker movie, it's got to have a good guy in it. It's got to have somebody on the other side trying to stop him. That's not just the cops.
Yeah. All right. Bag Studios. He says, ideally, what happens to MCU Spidey / Venomverse? So our ideal version of that whole debacle.
That's such a hard question for me to answer. Okay, so are you ready? Perfect world, ideal thing. What we have right now all gets officially roped into MCU, even though it doesn't really make sense with Venom. Officially gets roped into MCU to a permanent degree where Sony has no way to branch off later and say certain things count and certain things don't, which was going to be really awkward for the 10 minutes that we thought that Spider-Man wasn't an MCU anymore. And then the Spider-Man shared universe that they really do is just animated. That's the perfect world for me. Spider-Verse needs to branch off and not only make sequels, but make, like they keep talking about, a bunch of cool character pieces about other Spider-Men and Spider-Women that don't have to be multiversal movies. Let's go and explore Spider-Gwen's universe and not actually have to go into anybody's universe in that movie. Especially let's do that with 2099. that is the perfect thing for me. I'm not that interested in a Spider-Man shared universe, even with Spider-Man in it, now that I've had a taste of Spider-Man at Marvel, because I want to get to see some of the other superheroes at Marvel fight his villains. That's one of the things I always enjoyed in comics, was what about when Iron Man or somebody else, I realize that the Iron Man, Captain America are out now, but we've got other superheroes. Like, what happens when, Falcon or Black Panther or Captain Marvel or whoever it is, goes up against the Green Goblin that one time, or Mysterio or whoever it is. I want that to all stay under the same roof, but I also want it to make sense, and right now it doesn't. Like they're making it really clear that they want us to think that the Kraven movie, and by extension the Venom movie, are now and have always been part of the MCU, and it just doesn't really make any sense. They didn't even know aliens happened, so how does that work? And it's just so tonally weird. You
mean the Morbius movie?
What did I say? The Kraven movie? The Morbius movie is what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just, if they want to pretend like they're in the same universe, fine, but I think ideally for me, they just would never cross over. Like, maybe use Jameson in both movies, but it doesn't ultimately affect anything,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess they are going one way. They're crossing over. I guess if they want to cross over that way to the Sony movies, that's fine, but don't cross over back the other way. I don't know.
Well, right now I agree with you. Right? Yeah, but that's only because they haven't given us a villain yet that I would actually want to see come over, because Venom is just really weird, right? Like, and
don't want that Venom.
Morbius probably will be that way too, but it's possible, DJ, that you and I both walk out of that movie and go, okay, if they want to cross him in MCU, that makes sense. Like, or we like him well enough to see that happen.
Yeah, it depends on how sciencey he is, right? Because in the trailer, it's a little sciencey. They talk about him being a scientist, but then he's it's all like mystical and like Cave of Wonders bat thing going on. So I don't know, like, if that'll fit in the MCU. I guess they have magic, kind of, but they're really science-based, especially with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
TH1, thoughts on the rumor that Sony movies... Oh, here we go. Perfect follow-up. Thoughts?
A segue.
I planned it perfectly. Thoughts on the rumor that the Sony universe movies are during the blip?
I mean, I still don't understand that nobody knows about aliens thing, and it's weird that nobody's talking about that in Venom, if that's already a blip movie. But I mean, sure, why not? I don't know.
Because we have alien. I mean, people know about Thor, and he's an alien.
People know about the fact that there was an alien invasion.
Yeah. 2012.
And at this point, people know about Captain Marvel, but as far as Venom, and of course that is before Endgame. But I don't mind that idea. I don't know what exactly it adds necessarily, except just an excuse to not have other superheroes show up for anything epic. If you have any like big giant dire, if you say it's during the blip, it's easier to do big earth-shattering things, I guess. Except it's not like all the superheroes disappeared either, though. So, yeah, I don't know what exactly that gives you.
Yeah, it's like, I mean...
Does that do anything
Captain
for
America were working during that time, so...
And they kind of act like it's been a slow 5 years. Like, nothing... Like they're going after Bucky and stuff, but, like, there's... Or Bucky. They're going after,
Bucky dead.
No, they're not going after Bucky. He's gone. They're trying to find Hawkeye, and stuff like that. They're on little side missions, but like, no, I think you're still kind of stuck if you want to do any big giant, earth destroying kinds of plots. That's not a big conspiracy nobody knows about, because you'd still have the Avengers coming in to save it. But Sony doesn't care about that. They want to have their cake and eat it too. Sony is clearly interested in cherry picking MCU. They don't care if MCU uses their stuff. They just want to have access to the MCU stuff. Is the sense I get.
I hope that they wouldn't have Morbius going up against some earth-shattering event with the Skybeam.
Well, yeah, me too. But I'm just thinking ahead. I'm just saying, like, if for the next few years that was the plan, where every movie they put out was during the blip, and they decided to do a larger story, that could be a mistake. But like, I think Sony is looking at it like Marvel TV did. I mean, especially the Netflix shows. Like, I think for them, or maybe they haven't really thought it out. I mean, that certainly seemed to be the case with what's her face that has control of the Spider-Man stuff and is at Sony. I can't think of her name right now. She had an interview with Kevin Feige at one time where she acted like it was MCU, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It clearly isn't. So Pascal, no, I can't think of who it was. Anyway, yeah, it is Pascal. Yeah, there you go. All this stuff runs together after a while. There's a whole lot of stuff to keep track of. But yeah, she was like, "Oh, it's all Marvel Cinematic," and he's like, "Yeah, no, it's not." And they're still doing that. So either they're confused because they don't understand how continuity works, or they're totally cool with, even if they contradict stuff from us or we contradict things from them, the general public knows that Spider-Man is a Marvel thing, and they're not going to care. They're just going to be excited when things from that show up in ours, and we just want to capitalize on that. I mean, think about it. Marvel, in and of itself, like Marvel Studios, was not that careful about continuity all the way through. They were better about it than Fox X-Men was, but they weren't that careful to really seed Thanos right and stuff like that. So I mean, it's more about creating, even when they do it well, and different directors and writers have managed this better. But like the larger studio heads, I mean, I hate to throw Feige under the bus, but I'm just saying, like, the guys at the top in Disney and Sony, they're much more interested in creating the illusion that all of this is connected than they are actually connecting it, because that gives them money. What's up, man? What happens next?
The super chats. Speaking of that universe, have you seen the photo of Cletus Kasady they released?
No, I heard they got the hair better, but I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, it's what's his name? Obviously, what's his name? The dude from the Dude. I can't think of names tonight.
I know his name, yeah. And now that you have that, it's apparently contagious across the internet.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, yeah.
It's like a very serious. They went way in the other direction. Although he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, so
I'll look
looks
that
like
up.
He's going to be a little.
We'll take a look. I'll see if I can show you guys a screen that doesn't have Sonic on it.
You're about to get a live reaction from Cap himself.
It might take a minute. We need music for this, honestly. Okay, so he's just got. So was what you saw? Was it just a headshot?
It's like a torso, head and shoulders with a little bit, chest action.
Knees and toes. Yeah. Was it this?
I can't see.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it big. Hold on.
The interactive part of the show says Blue Dragon 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that. He's got like a Hawaiian, like a
okay.
California Baja shirt.
Well, I mean, he cut his hair, so now he doesn't look like Cletus Kasady. Like, at least with the wig, they tried to make him look like Cletus Kasady, but the wig was really stupid, so everybody made fun of it. But this is just, so he's got red hair. But other than that, he just looks like a real generic mob boss guy.
Yeah. He's not crazy in that. I'm sure he'll be crazy. I'm sure he'll do it up.
Oh no, he'll be absolutely nuts, I'm sure. But like, so I don't want to be mean to anybody or throw anybody under the bus when I say this. But when people ask me to respond to things like that, I'm like, why are we talking about it? Like, what is there to talk about?
Well, nobody asked. I actually just brought it up.
Oh, I know, but people do ask about that sort of thing all the time. Where it's like, there's not really anything to talk about. Like the Pattinson Batsuit thing. At first, I thought was like that because it was just like a side profile thing. And then once I had the logo, I was like, the emblem. I was like, oh no, we got stuff to talk about now.
Oh man, people are interested. Someone said the California shirt is funny since he's a Southerner. And Mutale says he should have worn the clothes he wore in the 90s animated series.
He also should say man constantly.
Man. Hey, man. He's terrifying in that movie. That is the scariest comic I ever had as a kid, by the way.
Maximum Carnage?
No, there's no. That if I was scared of that, that would be pretty sad. There's a Carnage comic I have. I don't know what it's called. It's like it's just
It's
like
not. It's a Wonderful Life, is it? Because that thing is mortifying.
it's a one shot where he's just like breaking out of prison and like murdering everybody, and it like shows flashbacks of him as a kid where he like pushed his grandma down the stairs at like 5. Like, does anyone know what I'm talking about? It's this horrifying Carnage comic that I have.
Tell me if it's this, because what you're describing sounds like what I'm talking about. It wasn't this, was it? It's not. It's a Wonderful Life, is it?
No.
Okay, because that was a one shot that I think actually does some of that.
It's just horrifying.
Was it just a Spider-Man comic?
No, it was just a Carnage. It was just called like Carnage, and he was just like breaking out of some like the first issue. I don't know if it was a miniseries. I think it was just the first issue, and he was just like breaking out, but it kept showing flashbacks of him as a kid, like always being a murderer, like even from like a child.
Huh.
I'll look it up and find it. But it was horrifying as a child.
Because I don't think there was a miniseries or a one shot just called Carnage in the '90s that wasn't that. That's the only one shot I know about.
I'm sure it had a name, but I just can't remember. Carnage something.
Well, maybe somebody in the comics will know.
Yeah. Hope so.
Professor Zoom, stupid hair. Maybe that's why he was murdering people.
That would have been great if they stuck with a wig and he just like is like. That movie had terrible wigs all around. Weren't people making fun of Michelle Williams for her wig too?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of wig problems. A lot of fake hair issues.
That's such a weird problem for like $1 billion movie to, or a almost $1 billion movie to have. All right. Well, we didn't get to many. We're out of super chats, but I can go back to the.
Let's get to some pre-written, because I know we've got several of those, and I want to make sure that we don't shaft people that do that.
Yeah, of course. Cap, did you get a chance to watch the Freakazoid episode Hero Boy on the 24-hour live stream?
Who asked that?
If so, what did you think? That was from Blue Dragon 5.
Yes, we did do that. That was I think one of the last things that we did that morning, and it was after I'd been up for 23 hours, so I don't remember a lot about it now, but it was it was cool that you picked a Ricardo Montalban episode. At first, I thought maybe it was. I didn't realize that he came back several times. I looked that up after that. I was like, oh, he was in that show like 4 or 5 times. He's sort of an arch nemesis character in that, and he's part of Freakazoid's origin. And I only remembered him as being in the origin. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, is this the origin episode? I vaguely remembered that thing with the piano at the beginning, or the organ or whatever at the beginning, but that was the only flash of that episode I'd had, so I'm pretty sure I'd seen that once when I was a kid. But, yeah, it was a regular crazy Freakazoid episode. Jason was baffled. He watched it with me, and he did not know what to make of that.
From Romello Malone. If you were Sony and you decided to make a live-action Spider-Man TV series, would you make the show a serious high school drama like Buffy and Smallville? I don't know if I'd call Smallville a serious high
It is
school
what
drama.
it is, yeah. No, you're right, though. The high school stuff is almost never what's... Is there any really good, solid high school episode of that show? Is the high school stuff ever what's good about that show?
I don't know.
I kind of don't think it is. But anyway, short answer is yes. I mean, that would be the way to do that. That's what Spectacular did, and it was wonderful. And that would be the way to keep it in a manageable budget.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be opposed to doing some of the... I would love to see a Spider-Man show that looked like Daredevil, not like as dark, but I mean just like budget-wise. I'm not opposed to seeing the web slinging in live action. It looked great and amazing when they did it. I mean, not in, I mean, yeah, like in real, like
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Not like not digital.
Maybe not go first-person POV all the time.
No. Have you listened to the tune? Oh yeah, this is good. Mutalia. A lot of people brought this up.
Yeah.
Have you listened to the? Someone brought it up and said you should do it as a reaction, like right now. Have you listened to the "No Time to Die" song by Billie Eilish?
No, I haven't. But if I play it though, we may get the video blocked. So. Yeah. I mean, I will play a little bit of popular music sometimes, but if I play more than like 10 or 12 seconds, sometimes and I don't mind getting flagged on this show if we don't get blocked, but sometimes you lose the whole video over it, so I don't think I'm going to do that, but I'll listen to that later, and you guys can bring it up again next week, and we'll talk about it. I saw that came out, I forgot to listen to it.
That's from a lot of the people I'm trying to get some new people. All right, Wooly.
Yeah.
Wooly asks, hey Cap and DJ, have either of you ever played any virtual reality games / experiences? I think you would like Batman Arkham VR.
I have wanted to. The PS4 virtual reality headset is just so expensive. I can't get excited about dropping $300 or $400 on that because I don't know if I would use it much. Like I didn't want to break down and get one until I got a chance to play with it somewhere, and I don't know anybody that's got one, and I haven't seen one just like on display anywhere at a store or anything where I could try one.
Oh, I found it. I found the Carnage.
You found your VR headset.
If I send it to you over Skype, can you show it?
I can't send it to Facebook though.
Okay. It's called Carnage Mind Bomb.
I don't know what that is. Okay.
Number 1. It's horrifying.
I'll just look it up.
Yeah.
That is news to me. But yeah, have you done anything with VR?
I have not. I really want to though. I think I would love it. I agree. My boss is a huge spender of money on technology, and he always talks about how he has
Hot Dog 1996. I didn't know about this.
Look at that. It's horrifying. He's like hunched over like a bunch of skulls.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great cover. I need to get my hands on that because I collect Carnage and I don't have that. Wow, I'm not a real Carnage fan. I didn't know that was a thing.
I knew I just had to Google Carnage covers because I knew I would, as soon as I saw it, I would know it because it's burned into my mind.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's really creepy. And it says number 1, so I'm assuming it keeps going. Unless that's some kind of, I don't know.
I'll look it up. It's probably a miniseries. Sometimes that happens. We almost never put a number 1 on a thing that's only a one-shot, but occasionally something will come out that was supposed to be a mini and didn't make more, but I doubt that would happen with that. That was when the symbiotes were so in vogue.
Someone said, isn't Cap DJ's boss? Someday, hopefully we get this thing going so far that I can be a full-time Geekvolution employee, but I do have another job. It's not as fun as this one. I don't get to interact with you guys.
Yeah, I guess the best way to answer that is I'm not DJ's only boss.
Mutale, have you seen Westworld? Cap.
I saw the pilot. I've not watched past that. That's one of those things. Somebody sent it to me in the mail, which was super cool, super nice of them. And so I did take the time to watch the first episode, but I haven't watched past that. And I will. It's just been hard to make it a priority because that is one of those many shows that I keep hearing goes downhill immediately after the first season. And I have such a hard time getting excited about looking at it. Even if the first season is great, it's not going to be a complete story, or it's going to, fall off and not be, a good story all the way through. And so I don't know. I worry about wasting my time with stuff, but I do want to watch that.
From 5590ERS, Captain DJ.
Hey, Anime. I just want to say, how do you know that I need to give DJ a raise?
I was just gonna skip right over that.
I wanted to say it because I think it's funny. Like, but how do you know? Where it's like DJ does such a good job. No matter what he's getting, he deserves more.
I agree, Anime. It's funny. All right, but hey, 5590ERS asks, have you guys thought about watching Super Sentai for the Morphin Mania channel?
We have.
Plug to the Morphin Mania channel. We actually have. We talked about this. It's specifically the Kaku Ranger series, since we didn't get much of that in America. For the Alien Rangers, we only got like 10 episodes of them, and barely any action was in those episodes. So that would be cool. When you were here, we actually watched a bit of an episode of that, and it seemed really interesting. So we could do that, and we could probably do some of the seasons that never made it over here. I don't know if that would be.
I would love to do that. The nice thing is, at least at the moment, that stuff is on Shout Factory, and so it would be possible for people to watch it with us. So that wouldn't be like we're streaming a thing that nobody can actually look at. I would not have been real keen on it until Shout Factory put up its free website and graciously allowed people to stream full seasons. That is so cool. DJ, I think we should consider, and I don't think we should do like a series of these all in a row because it would all kind of run together in our heads probably, but I think what we should do is when we get back into Morphin Mania, I think we should occasionally interrupt ourselves, or maybe even between seasons, and just sample the pilots. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Do some Morphin minisodes here and there, and we should come up with some kind of moniker because we can do that for like the games, and we still shot that. We still have that thing we shot when we played the game here that we never did anything with.
I didn't post it because we made the Morphin Mania channel and I figured it should go there.
Yeah, I agree. That's cool. I'm almost halfway through season 2 right now. So,
okay, cool. That could be like the first thing we post. 'Cause, yeah, I still have the footage. Oh, you know what? I still have a couple Patreon videos I didn't post.
Oh.
I just realized that.
Oh, from like when we were going to the mall and stuff?
Uh-huh, yeah. I forgot to post those.
Okay.
I've still got that footage. I'm
those.
sorry. Yeah, I forgot all about it.
No, don't have to apologize.
I posted the trampoline bouncing, and then I totally forgot to post the rest of it.
You guys aren't missing much. We were just being
What are you talking about? People love that. All 12 of them that watched it. People loved that. Mutali says he wants to see more Morphin Mania subscribers than Geevolution subscribers.
Yes.
Well, that's not going to happen.
It's going to be our big break. I think there is there's a dearth of Power Rangers content on YouTube. There's a couple channels, but I think if we played our cards right, that could be like the hub. It could be where Power Rangers fans go.
Yeah, but it's just commentary. It's like if we wanted to make a channel that would have enticed a bunch of Power Rangers, fans that are already looking for that kind of thing, to the channel, I would have done that in a different way, probably.
Yeah, well, we could talk about news sometimes. That's obviously what's going to get people to come to the channel.
Sure.
News, but...
I mean, I love what we're doing. Don't get me wrong, but just if I'd known that was going to be its own channel, I would have conceptualized that differently.
Anime 2020 says Power Rangers is the worst, but I like Morphin Mania. So thank you.
Thanks. Glad you're enjoying this.
All right.
We've got some people to come over and watch it with us just because they think it's awful and it's fun to make fun of.
Yeah. And we're kind of making fun of it the whole time, and we like it. So.
Oh well, yeah. There's a lot of that. Well, and I've said this before probably, but I have that with all kinds of things. Like, obviously, this is a more quality thing, generally speaking, but, like, I have that with Star Trek. Like, we used to, when I had a regular Star Trek club, we would have new people that would come in, and we would just, like, profusely make fun of an episode. They'd be like, do you guys even like Star Trek? Like, what?
I'm going to read this one because it's really funny to me. John Early asks me, specifically, why do you think Cap is prioritizing other reviews over The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, DJ? I don't know. Why do I think? I think he's scared. Honestly, I think he's scared to tackle these big crowd beloved movies. And
I have to apologize to him. That is my fault. That is just disorganization on my fault. John Early has donated for a number of reviews, which is really super cool of him. I've done some of them. There's still a backlog that I've not gotten to, and like I said, it was just disorganization on my part. It was I had it on a different list, and so I was prioritizing the Patreon reviews, and I had those in a different place, and just whenever I would sit down to do a review, I would forget to go look at that list because I was looking at the Patreon stuff. That came from a different place, and that's on me. He reminded me of those, and I've gotten them in with everything else now, and that will happen soon. I'm really sorry about that. That is totally on me. Recently, and I should mention this in case you didn't see the memo on this on YouTube or Patreon or the other places that I posted about it, but I had a terrible snafu this week where I lost my notes for all of the requests, all of them. I kept those in the Notes app on my phone, and DJ, it wasn't backed up where I thought it was backed up at. Apparently that one app used a different cloud, and it wasn't default to go to the cloud. You had to set that up in the first place, and I didn't know that. Most everything just goes to the cloud, right? And so that thing had an update, and suddenly I couldn't look at any of my notes, so I had to reinstall it. When I reinstalled it, I lost all of that. So like every request was gone, and so I had to.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I've been having to hit up everybody and find out what requests I'm not remembering. So I wrote as many of them down as I could remember, but like some of them I didn't remember who asked for them and stuff. So anyway, if you didn't know about that and you have made a request either for Off the Cuff or for Rewind, please get a hold of me because I want to make sure and get all of those accomplished. So anyway, just wanted to mention that again. Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. I spent 2 hours trying to get that information back, and there was no way to do it.
Oh man! So did you lose my rewind request all the way from the Geeks United days?
No, I didn't. I remember that. That was the first one I wrote down. I also, by the way, finally found that list again. So I have some
cool.
years old reviews, but I plan on getting to all of them. Anyway, so yeah.
Wow. Dan Torrey just posted in the Secret Society a hilarious quote from Harrison Ford. Have you heard of this?
Huh. Well, I don't know.
When asked if Han Solo was a Force ghost in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Harrison Ford responded, "I have no effing idea what a Force ghost is, and I don't care."
That's consistent with Harrison Ford and his total disinterest in Star Wars as a franchise, and he's sick of talking about it, and yeah.
All right, we got another super chat from John Ty.
There's a Back Studio super chat we missed apparently.
All right, well, let me ask this one, and I'll go back and see. I hate that I can't see stuff from earlier. I don't know what they're talking about.
So I'm sending you a link. Just go to the main stream page, and it actually has a whole section just for super chats.
Okay, that's awesome. But anyway, are critics supposed to dictate one's viewing habits on fictional media or just discuss them?
Wow, a whole lot of these kinds of questions tonight.
Yeah, digging deep.
Digging deep.
Multi-topic extravaganza.
Sorry, guys, just give me a second. I'm sending DJ something. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of folks are really concerned with...
Oh, I know what he's talking about. I have it right here. Back Studios. Okay, so what in the heck is the DCEU now, is what he said.
Yeah, well, we'll get that in a minute. Let's go ahead and tackle the one you just asked. Go ahead and read that one more time.
Yeah, sure. Are critics supposed to dictate one's viewing habits on fictional media or to discuss them?
No, I mean, a critic doesn't have any power over you. A critic's job is to tell you what he thought of a thing, period. That's it. That's his job. This is why you can't necessarily have too many of us. It's just about different perspectives. It's just, like I said earlier, we're all different. We're all and none of us are the same day to day. So it's interesting to get, different people's and from different points in their lives and from different walks of life, different people's perspectives on, anything that they want to review. It's, ideal that a critic has, seen a few movies, knows something about them, has some reference points and things. But I think everybody's opinion, if they're honest and if they take the risk to really tell you what they think, is valid to the degree of again, we're all different, and it's interesting to see what this person, based on the sheer number of things they've seen, or even the sheer number of things they haven't seen, thinks about a thing. How does it appeal or not appeal to different people in different places in their lives? And so that's all a critic's job is. Yeah, I would be curious to know why you're asking that, and if you've seen any reviews where a person seems to be making judgment calls about what people are looking at and stuff. Like, are you reading critics that are saying Hollywood keeps putting out a lot of trash and nobody should go and see it? Like, I'm not going to judge anything that makes people happy. Like Roger Ebert always said, there's such a thing as good trash, and I think if anything, we need more variety in kinds of movies, not less. So obviously, I'd love to see more smart, serious entertainment, but I also don't think we get enough good trash. I think we get a lot of mediocre stuff. And so I'm not, I just as a critic, which I don't like to call myself because it sounds kind of pretentious, but as a reviewer, I guess, I'm not going to say you guys are the problem. You keep going and seeing these movies that rake in a whole lot of money. I do think that are bad and mediocre. I do think that if there was more variety and there were more creative and imaginative things, things that I think are really kind of dull and mediocre wouldn't do as well. But I'm not going to blame people for liking what they like.
Yeah, so that back studio super chat was just, okay, so what in the heck is the DCEU now? I think it's gone. I don't think they care about that.
Yeah, we've been talking about this a lot. It is more complicated than that, is the thing. If they didn't care about it at all, Birds of Prey would not have bothered referencing Suicide Squad. It's complicated. Like, Wonder Woman 84 is obviously not going to forget that its first movie happened, but the question is it going to completely forget that BVS happened or that Justice League happened? I don't know. I think we will continue to see kind of lip service references to things all the way through, but we won't really build on them hard because people didn't like that stuff, and some of it is kind of unsalvageable and hard to build on. So it's, as I don't know, as far as selling it goes, like from a business standpoint, yeah, it's gone, it's done. We're not building toward anything. We're not making a big deal out of, look, we have this big, complicated continuity and it's all interwoven and stuff. As far as just the dictionary definition of continuity goes, DJ, yeah, it's still kind of there. Because they're going to keep referencing it.
Cool.
You see what I'm saying? Like anytime anybody says Steppenwolf, okay, Justice League happened. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to matter much. I don't think they're going to do anything that's like dependent on that stuff, because obviously the Suicide Squad is not, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're going to be caring about what happened in Suicide Squad.
No, but I guess I read the question somewhat differently than you did. Like inherently in that question, to me, it's like what is this? Like as a whole, is there a continuity? Yeah. Do the things that we have already even count to later things? And I just think, like I've said before, it's all cherry picking. Like it kind of does. But you're right. I don't think it ultimately really matters. It's just going to be really awkward moving forward. And it makes me kind of wonder if we're going to ever get to a place where we can just kind of draw a line and say the movies from before this kind of don't count.
Is someone? Are we about to wrap up? What are you thinking?
We got 5 minutes.
Okay. I'll ask one more pre-written. We could talk about kind of in kind of to follow up that one. Someone asks,
sure.
What are our ideas? This is from Azim. What are our ideas for DC spin-off movies? So, in the midst of this weird continuity, what would we like to see from the continuity that we do have? Because spin-off movies have to be, obviously, from other DC movies.
Yeah. At the moment, there's not really anything there that I would get really excited about seeing branch off and go anywhere, right? Like I can't think of any right off. I mean, maybe something will come to me. The first thing spin-off wise that besides Harley Quinn, because that's already happened, that is a spin-off that's supposed to happen, is The Trench. I can't get excited about that. I mean, I like The Trench. I think that's a really strange thing to try to make a whole movie about, and I don't know, maybe it'll be great, but that's a strange notion. But I can't.
Well, I guess technically we can consider Flash and Cyborg to be spin-offs of Justice League.
Yeah, but again, since the DCEU is kind of dead, like they're spin-offs as much as Aquaman was. Aquaman, I guess, also is that. And it goes as far away from that as possible while still having to hold on to the basic characterization that it started with. Obviously, Jeff Johns would not have gone with the tattooed bro dude guy. And so he kind of clunkily, awkwardly had to make him his Aquaman while he's still Jason Momoa. But which always sounds like a mixed drink to me. But
Jason Mimosa.
But anyway, to answer your question of just stuff I would like to see, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anybody from any movies we've had already that would be cool to see go off by themselves. Like I liked Will Smith's Deadshot well enough. Maybe that could have been a cool movie. Obviously, it won't happen now. Like, even anything I can think of, it wouldn't happen now because the DCU, as we said, is sort of kind of dead. I guess I could maybe see, I don't know, a Steve Trevor solo film? But not really? Like, I can't get excited about that either? See, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think we have enough material yet. Like, there's not anybody that was in Shazam that you would want to see go get their own movie. And then Black Adam won't even be a spin-off movie because it's not in Shazam.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. But we do have a super chat, which we do have to answer.
Okay, let's do it.
John Ty follows up his last one and says, I see some people go to critics online to dictate what they should watch and how to seek approval for their opinions. Oh, yes, I agree with this completely. I had a guy that I used to work with. He used to work with me. He left now. But it was like and I understand some people don't have time, but it was just like, Rotten Tomatoes says this, not going to see that. Bleh. Like, it was just whatever Rotten Tomatoes said was the truth. Like, he would never read the reviews, or like he wouldn't like things that are, which is I don't know. He would just be like, oh, it was like if it was under like 60% or 70%, not going to see it. So I can understand people that do that.
Yeah, looking for consensus. I thought we were talking about more like individual reviewers, and just like a reviewer is okay, I'm seeing what we're talking about now is dictating like
well, I think he is to a degree talking about more like people actually watching specific YouTube reviewers and
so let me go back to and add to, not amend, but add to what I said earlier. So I said that a critic's job is to tell you what they thought of a thing, and by extension I should have mentioned the point of that, of course, is to give you a sense of whether or not you might like it. So a really good review should give you a sense that even if the reviewer hated it or didn't care for it, there's a chance you might like it. And I do my level best to do that as much as humanly possible. So I try to give movies the accolades I think they deserve, even if I don't like them very much, and say some of this is taste issue. I get why people are liking the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. It just wasn't for me. I didn't care for it. But in my review, I tried to make it clear, here's what it is. You might like it even though I didn't. And so like that's kind of, that's the reviewer's job. We should not all be the same. Is kind of my answer to this. It really bugs me, this whole like looking for the consensus, people desperate for everyone to be on the exact same page on everything. Movies aren't made for every single kind of person. They shouldn't be. Again, we should have some variety, and it should be fine if I like a thing and DJ doesn't like it, and if we all loved all of the same thing, like there's not enough time to consume everything, like different things are for different people, but also we're diverse, we're different. We don't need to all like and dislike all the same things, and it bugs me that people are looking for that kind of consensus. That it's hard for people to accept when even one or two people don't like the things that they like, and so sometimes people that feel that way need something like Rotten Tomatoes to tell them what to go look at and what not to, because they want to know what the ether, what the world at large is saying is good and bad. And then sometimes, and I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I really think that the sensibility there is, I'm being told it's good, so if I go see it, I know I'll like it. Sometimes that translates to, if I didn't know about that, I might not have liked it, but I've been told it's good, so I'm telling myself I'm liking it. I really think that happens, and that basically translates to whatever is current and hip and matters in the moment is what is good and what you should care about. And that's really unfortunate. It should be okay to go back and enjoy things from 50 years ago, and it should be okay to go to something that came out right now that everybody loves and you did not care for. All Rotten Tomatoes should tell you is this is the basic consensus. So a 60%, there are probably a few more people that will like it than not, probably. But that also doesn't always hold. Sometimes the critics don't reflect what what general audiences' consensus is on a thing, and sometimes, I dare say, people are more concerned with what a movie is saying than what the actual quality of a movie is, and so sometimes this is just my opinion, but I think we're seeing some of this. You'll have a movie that is that has a particular political agenda, or is preaching a particular thing that has more positive reviews than it would if people weren't just glad that that was being said. And that doesn't tell you anything about the quality of a thing. And so you might go like it and not like it, or you might go see it and not like it. Even though, the critics are saying, well, it's good because it's important, or it's saying a thing that needs to be said. I think that is happening some too. But this whole it's fresh, so I'll go see it, and if it's not, I'm not thing really bugs me. This is also not new. This was going on with Siskel and Ebert back when I was a kid. If movies got thumbs downs, people didn't go see them. I don't know, man. If it sounds like an interesting premise, give it a shot, and if you listen to somebody or read somebody that you tend to agree with and line up with a lot, or you can just tell based on what they're saying about it, even if they might not like it, that you probably will just based on what they're saying, then I get using that, or listen to a number of different people and see what if a lot of people are saying the same things, that sounds like a thing you don't want to go to. But look for your own interests and sensibilities in what people are saying, I think, is important.
Cool. We got another super chat while you were talking. It is from Bag Studios. Thanks, Bag. He says, apparently presidential speeches are for criticizing the Oscars now. Didn't know if you saw that or not.
I did not. I don't really want to talk about that, but no, I didn't know that.
Then he continues, unrelated, what's your favorite Tarantino film? So, I don't know.
My favorite Tarantino film is, well, I've only seen a couple, so it's not really fair to say. But I mean, it's Pulp Fiction, which I've not seen in a really long time. But that's most people's favorite Tarantino film.
Yeah, I've only seen one, and I hated it.
That does not seem like your sensibilities, no.
Yeah, I saw, what did I see? The new one, last year.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. And you didn't like it?
Did not like it. I was really bored. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think it's called.
DJ, speaking of Bag Studios, I was at a bar yesterday, and I saw a commercial that had Bag Studios in it. Do you want to see a picture of it? I sent this to Bag. I was like, oh, look, you're on TV. Look, there he is. He was on.
Does he still do that? I don't know. I guess we don't do the Patreon things anymore, but
we haven't done one in a while. I should bring that back soon. Yeah, but there he is. Yeah, he came in with a bag on his head once.
The question says, "Oh well, DJ, that one absolutely sucks." So he's with.
Interesting, because I've heard nothing but good things about that.
Yeah, Connor loves it. He's been talking about it a lot. But yeah, I've never seen any of his movies. They've never, like Cap said, really appealed to me. I don't know. If you guys, you guys know me a little bit, not too well, but if you know any of his movies that I might like, let me know.
Well, we are out of Super Chats, and we've knocked out a whole bunch of pre-written, and we are 5 minutes over 2 hours, so we should probably call it a night. But thanks, everybody, a ton for watching. This was, man, a lot of kind of more, deeper, thoughtful questions tonight, DJ.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure did.
It just seems like a lot of people are really concerned with this, kind of fan volatility thing right now, and there's a lot of it seems like right now, like I saw a kind of a trend with a lot of the questions tonight, where people seem to be really preoccupied by dissecting what criticism is and what it means when you don't go with the grain with other people and stuff, and this idea of needing your feelings about something validated. And I just want to say that individuality is not only fine but important. And we need to be allowed to disagree with each other and to have thoughtful, respectful conversations when we don't agree on things, instead of being so terrified that someone is not going to be with us on just a movie we went and saw, that we're afraid to speak our mind on it. I think that is so important. And what I'm reading, I don't mean to be soapboxy, DJ, but what I'm reading from a lot of the questions that we got tonight is a fear of people speaking their mind about the entertainment they're consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really unfortunate.
It's sad. It's really sad.
And I've always tried to create a place here where we can do that, and I hope that we've done that as well as we can. But like, that's what the internet should be.
Yeah, everybody's welcome to Geekvolution. If you love Sonic, come on in.
Yeah.
If you like Birds of Prey like I did, you are welcome. Except for Captain.
I mean, you did almost get fired over that, but and yeah, if you're my friend, I will probably make fun of you over it, but your opinion is certainly respected.
Respected with a hand jiggle.
It's respected. Anyway, Connor says, like what you like, life's too short for anything else. Yeah, I mean, Connor likes Dark Knight Rises, and we're still friends. Shouldn't be possible, but it is, No, I'm kidding.
Connor likes the Tarantino movie that's just people driving cars for 3 hours.
Well, anyway, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hope you had a good time. We certainly did. And we will see you again next week. Same cap time, same cap channel. Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. And next week, we will follow up with another episode of Captain Logan After Dark on Patreon. So if you're a patron, look forward to that, or pop in for just $2 a month to take a look at the insanity that ensues there. And it is insanity. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was DJ Martinez.
Jesse.
We'll see you later, folks. Bye.
Harley Quinn. Oh, I was hoping you were going to cut out right there. That would have been good.
Oh, I was on my way. Anyway, bye everybody.
Take 2.